Pretty shot of Annapolis there, a place I know well. Some 28 million children ages 5 to 11 could start receiving the COVID vaccine as soon as next Wednesday. That's because the FDA is expected to grant emergency use authorization for kid-sized doses of the Pfizer vaccine by tomorrow. And that would clear the way for the CDC to make its recommendation next week, meaning kids could start getting shots at pediatricians' offices or schools very soon. Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan says his state is ready to roll out vaccines for children, and he joins us now.
Good morning.
Governor, thank you for being here. We are clearly entering new and quite emotional territory when we're talking about vaccines and kids.
Right.
You've been very big on recommending vaccines for people. What do you say to parents who are feeling a little iffy about their younger ones getting it?
Well, I can understand the concerns because there's been sort of confusing information, conflicting information sometimes, and so some parents are concerned, and we want to do whatever we can to make sure that they get the information they need and talk with their physicians, talk with the professionals, but we think it's important for them to move forward. You know, our state is one of the most vaccinated in the country. We've done 98% of our seniors, 80% of all eligible Marylanders, and now we're looking forward to we're ready for when we do get the approval to finally move forward with the 5 to 11-year-olds.
So you would recommend it for parents?
I absolutely would. I mean, it's definitely keeping people safe. We have the lowest positivity rate in America, declining hospitalizations. It's really keeping people safe.
Do you think it would only be a recommendation, or could the COVID vaccine soon enter the list of other vaccines that we require of kids as they enter public school?
Well, I think at this point it's going to be a recommendation, and that's what they've done with every other rollout of any phase of the vaccine program. And I don't think they're going to mandate the 5 to 11-year-olds. Don't think they should mandate it. But I think we should encourage the parents to make those decisions and to get their kids vaccinated.
Let's talk about the vaccine overall, sort of vaccine politics, because it's a little bit confusing for me, right? So we have a vaccine that was launched under President Trump, a Republican administration. He got the vaccine. You're out there saying you got the vaccine. Other Republicans are as well. And yet we've got 64 million people who haven't gotten it, and it seems like it's been politicized.
There's no question about that.
What went wrong?
You know, I think there's been, misinformation and disinformation all over the place, and people believing things that just aren't true. I mean, you hear all the time, but the vaccines are bad, the vaccines are killing people, there's chips in the vaccines, it's craziness. Look, the fact is, I'm a Republican governor. Our state has vaccinated, just about everybody that needs to get one. We're going to finish out those last, 13% of the population. We're going to get our kids done. It works. The vaccines were designed to prevent hospitalizations and deaths, and it works amazingly well.
Who bears responsibility for all that misinformation you mentioned?
Well, I think there are a lot of people responsible. There's no question President Trump made some mistakes in not taking it seriously. I mean, they did a great job on Operation Warp Speed, actually getting the vaccines developed and out there. But they did a terrible job of the communications and, kind of telling people it wasn't important when it was critically important to save lives.
Yeah. So let's talk about the politics of infrastructure. And I mean the actual infrastructure, roads, bridges, internet. The reason I want to talk about it is because the estimates are that if infrastructure passed, it would create up to 1 million jobs, most of them for people with high school or trade school education. And by the way, it would pay $70,000 a year or more. Yeah. We need that in this country.
Absolutely we do.
Why can't it get done?
You know, it's really frustrating. I've been involved in this from the beginning. I pulled together a summit, unprecedented, of Democratic and Republican governors, senators, and congressmen back in April. We reached an agreement on this bipartisan compromise, $1.2 trillion. We got President Biden on board. It passed overwhelmingly in the Senate, 69 votes, 2.5 months ago, and it's been held hostage in the House by the Progressive Democratic Caucus, who's holding it up saying, we're not going to agree to the President Biden's compromise bill unless we get the $3.5 trillion of other non-infrastructure stuff. Well, it's not a compromise if you say we'll only do it if we get everything we want. That's just not the way things work. They can come back and debate those other things later.
Yeah, but, to be fair, it's not only the Democrats who are holding this up, and infrastructure was something that the Trump administration talked about for years. It became kind of a running joke.
Both parties have failed for decades, and we're finally at the goal line, about to get it done for the American people, and we just need Congress to put aside their differences and really get it done, because it's very important for the country.
So, I'm going to ask about the White House. It certainly looks like you're running for president.
I'm not sure why it looks like that, just because I'm sitting here with you this morning. Here.
You're on national television. You're in New York, possibly to meet with donors. You have been traveling around the country campaigning, raising your national profile. Fair to say you're exploring it?
I'm not sure that's fair to say that. It's not quite at that point. Look, I have until January of 23 to be the governor of Maryland. I'm going to be the best governor I can be. run through the tape. I'm very concerned about the direction of the country, about the leadership in my party. And so I'm out there trying to do what I can to steer the conversation to a more civil political debate and talk about solutions for the country. But I haven't made any decisions about what to do.
Haven't made any decisions, haven't ruled it out.
Haven't ruled it out.
Okay. One of the variables in whether you run for president is whether President Trump returns to run in 2024. Earlier this year, first of all, we should say you voted for Ronald Reagan as a kind of protest write-in vote in 2016 or 2020. Earlier this year, you were critical of the prior president, and his approval ratings in the party had been dropping. But, they bounced back up. Did you miscalculate?
No, look, it doesn't. My decision wouldn't be based on what President Trump does or doesn't do, first of all. But yes, there's no question he dropped precipitously after January 6th and lost a lot of support, not only among Americans in general, but in the Republican primary voter base. That has seen a little bit of an uptick because President Biden's failure on infrastructure, the collapse in Afghanistan, the pullout, which was bungled, his popularity has dropped into the 30s, which made people say, maybe Trump wasn't so bad. But we'll see. A year is a lifetime in politics. It's only been 10 months since the president's been in, President Biden. We have 3 years until the presidential election. So I think it's far too early to speculate. These things go up and down. Bottom line is we got to bring the country together and stop the divisive dysfunction in Washington and all the angry finger pointing back and forth.
I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah.
Popular Republican governor from a blue state. Interesting combination. Yeah. Governor Larry Hogan, thank you very much.
Thank you.